Thank you, Dennis. Good morning, Minister, Mayor, Councillors, ladies and gentlemen. I'm delighted to be here. I was in Cork earlier this year for one of the first meetings of the Ireland Healthy Cities Network, so I'm delighted to be back here. What I'm going to talk to you this morning about is actually the experience of healthy cities, not necessarily the evaluation of the 25 years of healthy cities which we're about to embark on, but some of the learning from the experiences and some of the key challenges of the future. And listening actually to Michael, the framework that Michael actually put up for the Learning Cities was precisely the framework we used in 1994 when the City Health Development Planning process was initiated. So we can see a huge number or the need to integrate a lot of these concepts. Healthy Cities, some of you will know, was initiated in 1988. And it has operated in 5-year phases. It's largely about a process as well as outcomes. So it's about the process of bringing sectors together in the city to look at health, well-being and inequalities. And one of the key elements of the Healthy Cities Network and the nature of our work is to put health on the social and political agendas across all of the cities. This is the European Healthy Cities Network as it is now. The Healthy Cities movement is now a global movement, and we have networks in Australia, in Hong Kong, in Korea, right across the world. But the only network where we actually have designated cities is within the WHO European network. You can see there Ireland has Waterford, Cork and Galway, and I think some of our colleagues are here. The UK, we have a quota of 12 cities. Each country has a quota per population, so I think it's around, some of the smaller countries are allowed to have more cities, but UK and Turkey, for example, are the largest networks. If, for example, some of the larger countries, Germany, for example, has a very strong national Healthy Cities network, but we only have one designated city from Germany. So some cities prefer actually to be within their network. Over the 25 years, Healthy Cities have largely been laboratories for innovation on health, well-being and inequalities. And we have demonstrated as a result of that work that health and well-being is central to development, economies and security. There are good health benefits to the whole of society, and it's policies that promote access to education, decent work, housing and income all support the health and well-being, as Denise has outlined earlier. And the health sector very often is a major economic sector in its own right, but the importance of health as a human right and as a matter of social justice. Healthy Cities also actually have helped articulate models to help us understand the social determinants of health, help us understand all of those factors within the city that have an impact on health. This is, many of you will be familiar with the Whitehead and Dahlgren model of health. This has been further developed by Barton and Grant in the WHO Collaborating Centre in the University of Bristol to a human settlement or a health map. As Denise also have said, we've made significant improvements in the last number of years to life expectancy and health and well-being across many of the countries in Europe. I know in particular in the last couple of decades we have added something like 2 years every decade to life expectancy. But there are still significant challenges. We have an ageing population in most countries, we're having fewer children, there is significant migration now within countries and between countries. And we have the particular burden of non-communicable disease. There's still, depression and heart disease are the leading causes of healthy years of life lost. As a result of the Healthy Cities work, working on intersectoral action, and that has been the consistent aim from Healthy Cities from the very early days, how we bring together all of the partners and look at the impact of their strategies, of their policies on health and well-being. The Healthy Cities work has largely influenced the Health 2020, the WHO European Health Strategy that was launched last year in Malta. And remember, WHO Europe is 53 countries. It goes beyond the European countries, the European Union countries. Health 2020 has a number. The two overarching strategic objectives are improving health and reducing the health divide, both within and across countries, and improving leadership and participatory governance for health. And I'm going to pick up on that towards the end of this. So those are the four common policy objectives. Healthy cities are now taking up the challenge in phase 6, which begins in January 2014. Healthy cities will take up the challenge of delivering Health 2020 at the local level. To date, we have already been working on health equity in all policies. As part of the designation requirements, we produce city health profiles, and this links again to Michael's point on the data. When cities prepare city health profiles, it's about the determinants of health. It's not only about health status, but it's about unemployment levels, it's about educational attainment levels, it's about a whole range of factors. And it's particularly difficult. Very often that information is not in the one place, and organisations very often too collect information in a way that suits their needs as opposed to maybe benefiting the city. We also experience WHO request us to collect information in a different format than that the EU actually wants. So the Health 2020 is actually built on the values of solidarity, fairness and sustainability. That will be the framework for phase 6. Each of our cities who want to be part of this network again, and the maximum number will be 100 across WHO Europe, will need to demonstrate how we will meet each of those core themes. Within the core themes, for example, investing in health through a life course approach, there are a number of priorities: early years, older people, vulnerability. So we will need to demonstrate what we hope to achieve in the 5 years. Just last week, actually, there was the regional committee meeting of the annual regional committee of WHO in Europe in Cheshme, Izmir, about an hour from where we were at the weekend in the Healthy Cities meeting in Izmir. And they adopted the proposal to develop a series of indicators. And the indicators, they want them to be inspirational, but also very practical in terms of supporting countries to be able to meet them. Countries have already taken up the challenge. I know here, earlier in the year, I was in Dublin again at one of the National Ireland Healthy Cities Network meetings, where on the same day that High Healthy Ireland was launched. And that very clearly demonstrates the new public health strategy, the need to link all government departments together to improve health and address inequalities. These are the publications in relation to that, and I think one of the challenges within this is actually challenging both the health sector and all sectors to look beyond treating illness. The health sector, it's about how we actually promote and promote health and well-being within the health sector, but also across all of the other sectors. And Dr. Margaret Chan, that was the statement that she has made as part of the foreword. At the regional committee meeting last week as well, the review of the social determinants of health was also formally launched. Many of you will be familiar with it, or some of you might be familiar with it. I keep forgetting it's not completely a health sector audience I'm talking to, or a broader health and social audience. Sir Michael Marmot from the UCL actually has led that, and there were 13 task groups all working on various aspects to provide the evidence in relation to what the review actually does is make policy recommendations to reduce inequities and the health divide across and within countries. Much more is now known about the extent and the social causes of inequities. The knowledge is documented in the review, and it calls on ministers, mayors and city politicians who have a key role in ensuring universal access to city services that have an impact on health. Not only health services, but the city services that have an impact on health. And within the Healthy Cities movement, we have been pioneering such approaches for a long number of years. That's actually the summary version. Both these documents are available online. It provides specific guidance for specific regions in different economic circumstances. This is just actually something that was shown at the Healthy Cities meeting at the weekend, and actually I thought it might actually be useful. What do we know about the economic case? It was presented by David McDade, who I think works in London School of Economics, and largely it's looking at the economic case for early intervention through school health promotion. And here if we see the investment in sort of preschool, school and post-school, and here then are some of the figures in terms of the children with no educational vocational qualifications and those that experience severe behaviour problems. It's not particularly new to people who have worked in the whole area of inequalities for a number of years, but I think to have the hard data is very useful. This was also one of the, here we have the proposal for the Galway bike share scheme, and the cost of that in a study that was actually produced in the Lancet last year, they recommend that there could be a saving of 17 billion UK pounds in terms of increasing physical activity, and that is significant. Some of the other documents that have formed part of the Healthy 2020 are around governance. Again, some of you may have heard Lona Kickbush, a very inspiring speaker. We had her in Belfast just actually earlier this year, but she has been largely responsible for the production of those documents. And this is the message actually that is in that document from mayors, but it's and that takes me to some of the sort of the title of the presentation around leadership and innovation. And largely I think some of this I've taken from what Alona Kickbush said at the weekend, so it was quite timely, but it's very much around what are the challenges for the future, what are the realities within which we work, and what are the challenges for the future. And largely the political choices we make about, politics. Healthy Cities is political, and it's about the choices that we make about how we want to live. And we need political processes that will actually address the social determinants of health and the distribution of power and resources. We know that cities are critical in terms of national development, but at the same time, it's also the cost of that very often within countries has been inequalities, and it's critical how we actually address inequalities and what the political response to that is. The what of Healthy Cities is about health and well-being, and we've been striving for that now to improve health and well-being for a number of years. The how is about how we actually put health, well-being and inequities on the political agenda. And I think one of the points that Alona Kickbush was making as well is politics is found in all spheres of life. It's not only within political parties. So the political processes go well beyond the usual and limited association of politics with parties, elections and governments, and at all levels leadership is a political process involving the skills of mobilising people and resources in pursuit of shared and negotiated goals. In many cases, the choices for health, as we've heard already and will hear, I'm sure, throughout the day, are the best choices for all. And in many cases, addressing poverty also addresses a huge number of the issues that have an impact on the citizens. 21st century leadership is very much, requires the four elements: equitable, inclusive, responsive and resilience. And within Healthy Cities, we need to work collaboratively with other sectors to actually achieve this. In terms of the shortcomings in governance arrangements, very often we within the technical world see governance as a lack of technical capacity. But the political matrix, I think what we are largely seeing or saying is that we need to consider the political determinants, the commercial and the social and the economic determinants of health as well, and we need political leadership as well as institutional leadership. Very often, it's how we combine both the technical and the political leadership. We can't have technical, we need political leadership to support the technical, but the political leadership also need the technical evidence on which to make decisions. In addition to this, there's no technical solution to a problem without an associated political solution. And that's actually the experience that we have in the Healthy Cities movement now. The network itself is quite a political movement. The application the letter to WHO Europe actually comes from the highest political person in the city, usually the mayor, and each of the annual conferences we have particular seminars for the politicians in terms of gaining their support for the next year or the next 5 years. Coalitions are one of the key political mechanisms for overcoming the persuasive collection action problems, and this is around the whole area of building partnerships, but beyond partnerships as well. That links us to what is a new term for me, and maybe to some others, is city health diplomacy. I think some of us in the Healthy Cities movement have been doing or trying healthy city diplomacy for a number of years, but how can we all be diplomats for health, well-being and inequalities? And finding such coalitions and finding the co-benefits of coalitions is one of the ways in which we can do that. Another element of leadership is actually accountability that I think we need strengthened. Budget incentives to collaboratively work together. Very often we say in Healthy Cities, we don't have integrated policies, we don't have integrated budgets. How can we actually look at all of these issues in a much more integrated way? And the co-benefits, and I think this is a really good term, where are the co-benefits of working together? And I think the whole area of active travel, walking, cycling and health is a particularly good example of the co-benefits of sectors working together. I know I've referred to the WHO 2020 health indicators, but very often some of the indicators that we want to measure our city, some of them just aren't there. And it's actually the indicators need to reflect both the sectors that we want to engage in the challenges of meeting the requirements of being a healthy city, but also we need to be able to measure the success of that. And they need to represent the values, the core values of what we actually do and what we're trying to achieve. And I thought this was a particularly good quote. The only evaluation that matters is, would we want our children to live, study and work in a particular community in a particular city? The next step is trying to, at a European level, is trying to translate the evidence both in terms of governance, leadership, partnership, all of those into, is to actually translate that into action. And we must ensure that the democratic institutions value health and address equity, and investing in the health literacy of parliamentarians, but of also institutions. One of the questions that Phase 5 evaluation, for example, in the Healthy Cities Network will ask is, what is the health, well-being, literacy now of the institutions within the city? And I think that's quite a challenge for a number of us actually to answer, but I think it's a key question. And finally, just to leave you with, Healthy Cities is about making those connections. And, listening to Michael this morning, there's something about how the healthy cities and how the learning cities, how a range of these cities actually now interconnect at a city level. I remember a number of years ago being at a Eurocities conference in Belfast, and we had, some of the cities, Gothenburg is a long and old healthy city, Kaunas, and I think it's Kaunas is the pronunciation, in Lithuania. And lots of the cities were looking actually to bring data together. Lots of the cities there were healthy cities, but none of them knew that their cities actually all had city health profiles, which brought together information from a range of sectors. So it's almost, how do we within the cities integrate all of the various sort of city networks? And I think through EcoWell, it's actually a particularly good example of bringing a number of the key sectors together. Finally, I just want to congratulate Cork. I can't be up here and not congratulate Cork on the progress that they have made in terms of being a WHO Healthy City, and we look forward to their application in Phase 6.